All right, West Virginia fans. WU has a lack of NFL talent problem. Zero invites to the NFL Combine. Not good. To talk about it with me tonight, I have my good friend Grant Easterday and good friend Amit Batra. Guys, how we doing tonight?
Doing well, guys. How are you?
Doing well, man. Hanging in. Just got off of work, ready to talk some Mountaineers.
Yeah, spring football starts next Saturday. Rich Rodriguez is set to talk to the media this week, so that is exciting. And right now, the NFL Combine is going on, and usually it's an exciting time around NFL time, and it's exciting to see where former Mountaineers are going to be heading. But unfortunately, gentlemen, this year there was not a single guy invited to the NFL Combine for West Virginia. It's a major issue, and I want to get your guys' initial thoughts on this topic about West Virginia not having a single player invited to the Combine.
Yeah, I think it kind of speaks to the talent issue that West Virginia had this past season. I mean, they just didn't look like a Power Four team out there, right? And I think the results showed that for a lot of the season. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I remember during our time, it seemed like that was a big deal, right? Like seeing Gino out there and everything. So, I think it's a talent issue right now.
I think, Amit, that's a good point. Just for me, we're all Giant fans here on the Jersey Ear Show. We're all huge Giant fans. We even did an episode on the Giants. And the draft is a time for me. I get excited about who the Giants are going to get, but it's also a time for me to look forward to who the players from West Virginia and where they're going. I get excited to see where they're projected at and to see them take shape in the NFL. I think it's an exciting time. So when you don't have a guy even into the combine, it's just not as exciting as a draft season. Grant, I want to get your thoughts on just this in general of West Virginia not having a single guy invited to the combine.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's a clear lack of talent, and the results show that. It hurts because it feels like West Virginia in the past, we were never the deepest in recruiting. We're never going to be in Alabama. We're never going to be a Penn State, but we still were able to find some diamonds in the rough there and pull pro talent through. So it's a little frustrating, and it's obvious in what we're getting back from the team.
Tosh Miller said Fred Perry question mark.
Oh.
Yeah, Tosh. So just jumping off the top there about Fred Perry, I think Fred Perry and Michael Coates Jr. are probably the most likely guys to get camp invites or possibly get drafted. Just because you're not invited to the combine doesn't mean you're not going to get drafted, but it's definitely not a good sign. I mean, you've seen a lot of high talented players from West Virginia not get drafted over the last few years. Let's talk about, guys like David Sills not getting drafted. Beanie Bishop wasn't drafted. Doug Nestor, Bryce Ford Wheaton was undrafted. I mean, you're talking about high caliber guys not get drafted. So although Fred Perry was a talented player for the Mountaineers, in NFL scouts' eyes, it didn't warrant a combine invite. So I think that, like I said, I think the most two likely guys to get invites are probably Michael Coates Jr. and Fred Perry. Amit, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I thought Fred Perry would probably be the guy just based on the year that he had, and I think just when you look at him, right, he looks like kind of an NFL type player because I mean he's a hard hitter. I mean I think he has some like Carl Joseph in him, like we kind of talked about this season. So he was probably the one guy I was a little surprised about, but other than that, I mean there just wasn't that much talent on as far as NFL talent, honestly.
I think Jamori Robinson would have been a shoo-in for the NFL Combine
Yeah.
if he didn't have one of the most disappointing seasons of all time. He's a guy that was the conference um, or the AAC Defensive Player of the Year and had 10 sacks, and comes to West Virginia and had maybe a half a sack. I mean, he was a complete bust for West Virginia. So after that season, I highly doubt teams are going to be knocking on his door and calling him. He might get a camp invite. Who knows? Maybe a guy like Chase Wilson. He had a decent year,
Yeah.
but other than those four guys, I just don't see the NFL talent that has happened. And to Grant's point, I think that a major reason why we've seen West Virginia struggle over the last few years is the lack of NFL talent, especially the product that they put on the field this year.
Yeah, it's like a trickle down effect, right? Like one thing kind of affects the other. So if we're not getting guys into the pros, then nobody wants to come play for us out of high
Well, that's
school.
what I'm concerned about because you hear a lot of recruiting, and I follow a lot of recruiting now, and a lot of kids they all say the same thing. what do you remember at West Virginia? And they all say the Tavon Austin highlight video. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that highlight video, although it's timeless, the further we get away from that, the less effect it's going to have. We need to start putting more guys in the NFL and having an impact, and hopefully a position of impact. Like Zach Frazier's in the NFL right now, right? And he's already considered one of the best centers in the NFL. But is the center a sexy position that all the kids know? Like I teach fourth grade. How many of my fourth graders know who Zach Frazier is? Probably none of them, right? Unless you're a Steelers fan. So it's hard. We've had players in the NFL, but as of late, we haven't had a high round draft picks. When we were there, we had Bruce Irvin, a first round pick, Carl Joseph, first round pick, Tavon Austin, Geno Smith should have been a first round pick. We've had high end picks, and now not only is the sheer number dwindling, but the value and how high they are is also dwindling.
Yeah, I mean, you had top 10 picks when we were there. So, I mean, that's it kind of speaks to, I think it does speak to the job Dana did as well, right? As far as kind of putting in NFL talent. So, yeah, I think there's been a very steep decline as far as that. And it's kind of a shame because it seemed like every year there's, a number of guys that were going to go to the NFL.
Tosh Miller said, Devin Grant said he's trying to get in the NFL also, posted that a few weeks back. Yeah, you have the guys that are going to declare. You talk about like Jordan Scruggs right now is kind of in that tweener. Is he back in the portal? Is he going to the NFL? A bunch of guys will try, but only a handful of them will actually make it. NFL stands for not for long. And we've seen some really high caliber players over the years not make it to the NFL. Guys like Gary Jennings. Gary Jennings actually was drafted and never saw the field in an actual NFL game. And Letty Brown, a guy that has rushed for over 1,000 yards, undrafted, never saw the field. So even though guys are extremely talented, to make the NFL is extremely, extremely hard. So it's really not that surprising to me that there was no invites just based on the roster this year and how the guys performed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there was a lot of issues. They just didn't win in the portal. I mean, that's what it came down to, right? I mean, I know time wasn't on their side and everything like that, but I mean, they had a lot of misses in the portal this year.
So we're really going to deep dive through this tonight, guys. We're going to talk about this and maybe some of the reasons why they haven't had as many guys invited and why the draft picks overall have been down. And then we'll talk about a few other topics as we do a live show tonight. It's been a while since we've talked football. I love talking basketball, football, wrestling, but football is my baby. Football is the top sport I love talking about. I'm happy that you guys came on and join it with me. Before we do that, if you're a West Virginia fan, please remember to like and subscribe to the show. Like we mentioned at the top, spring football is right around the corner. It starts next week. So as that starts, we'll be putting out more football content on the channel. So if you're a diehard Mountaineer fan, definitely hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate the support. All right, guys. So one of the reasons why the NFL talent and we're lacking draft picks and invites is the transfer portal. We've seen top tier talent walk out of the door as of late. And look at the last few years, right? Josiah Trotter, a guy that has declared for the NFL, and he still has like 2 years of eligibility left. We know his dad, Jeremiah Trotter. Well, he was West Virginia's leading tackler. He hit the transfer portal after the coaching change. He's a guy that's at the combine right now. Hakeem Mesidor, who absolutely, with him and Bain, took over the ACC this year and went to the college football playoff. We know Mesidor's story really well. He's a guy that's going to be probably a top second round pick, in the first 2 rounds. He walked out the door. CJ Donaldson, although he didn't put up many yards at Ohio State, he got valuable playing time for Ohio State, had double-digit touchdowns, and was a force when he was at West Virginia. He's at the combine right now. And then Tyke Smith, who's currently in the NFL, has played for Tampa Bay, was a high-end draft pick, won a national championship at Georgia. Guys, just want to get your thoughts on the climate right now and West Virginia just not being able to retain the NFL talent that was on the roster.
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's hard because, I mean, there's so many factors now that come with it, right? I mean, it's not just like, retaining them. It's also making sure they're compensated fairly. And if you can compete at that level with some of these programs, right? Because, I mean, it's just, quite frankly, I don't know if West Virginia has the same resources, right, that Ohio State or Miami is going to have. So it's hard to compete in today's landscape. And that's what scares me, right? Because it's like, you have a guy who has a great season, but all right, is he going to be around next year?
Grant, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a red flag, major red flag, because if we're having trouble getting guys here to begin with, we certainly can't be losing the ones that are valuable when they're here.
Yeah, it's a great point. And Amit brings up a good point. I think the biggest anxiety for Mountaineer fans, and I've said this a bunch on this show, is just can we compete in this new landscape? I look at the poster that's in front of me and I see guys like Steve Slayton, Pat White, Tavon Gino, Keith Tandy, Joseph. Like, would we have been able under this circumstances to keep them all, right? To retain them for all 4 years? I don't know. Could you imagine how big of a bag Geno Smith would have gotten after his junior year, or Tavon Stedman? So this is new territory for college football, and it's new territory for Mountaineers. And I think one of the bigger issues here, guys, is we have not really replaced these players when they leave. And I think that's the biggest issue here, right? Have we had a pass rusher like Hakeem Mesidor since he's been on campus? Probably not. I know the Stills brothers were good, but they were more inside guys.
Yeah.
Tyke Smith, I can say for certainty, we haven't had a safety as good as Tyke Smith since he's left. CJ Donaldson's replaceable. Who knows if he'll get drafted, but he's still at the combine, but he's still a guy I would have liked to see back. And then Trotter, I think he was one of the biggest portal losses last year. So I think that the one issue with West Virginia is right now is they're losing the NFL talent and they're not necessarily backfilling the talent. If you look at the current transfer portal guys that we're bringing in, it's a lot of guys that have played down at the group of 5 level or FCS level and put up great stats, but now have to prove it on the Big 12 level. Or it's guys that were at huge schools that had a very small role that are looking for a bigger role at West Virginia. Now, can those guys make it to the NFL like a Beanie Bishop has? Yes. But the problem is when we're getting guys out of the portal, we're not getting like NFL shoo-ins. We're getting talent that's a little subpar.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think next year is going to be a big year as far as the transfer portal and getting those guys and seeing how they perform on the field, as well as high school. I mean, they did, I think, a pretty solid job in the portal, as well as recruiting high school talent. But it's kind of all come together. So yeah, I think you make a great point, and I think it's going to be an important year next year.
Grant, any thoughts on that?
No, exactly. It's next year is going to be crucial. We have to try to work with what we have and build some momentum, so that way we're getting the top recruits and we're moving in the right direction.
So the next slide I'm going to show you guys is to show you how bad it's been lacking and how much West Virginia has fallen off with NFL talent. I'm going to show you the draft picks over the last 2 decades and then the records and how it translates. All right. So let's look at the 2010s, guys. When times were better at West Virginia, when you actually wanted as an outsider to watch West Virginia and go to their games. Look at the number of draft picks that are on this list. I mean, just from 2010 to 2016, if you look at that number, because this is looking at it through 10 years, and the 2020s is still going on right now. But you talk about just the amount of sheer talent that West Virginia was putting in year after year. 2011, that team had 4 draft picks in that class. 2012, they had a first-round pick with Bruce Irvin, Najee Good, who had a great career in the NFL, won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, and Keith Tandy, who had a nice career and now coaches for Tampa Bay. And then you look at what happened in 2013 with the Stedman, Geno, and Tavon. We have not had talent like that in a long time. 2014, they had Charles Sims and Will Clark. 2015, they put a bunch of guys in with Kevin White as a first-round pick, Shaquille Riddick and Mark Lewinsky, former Giant guys. And then if you look up at some of the other years, look at Will Greer's year in 2019. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 NFL draft picks on that team alone. The last time that West Virginia was relevant was Will Greer's year when they were competing for a Big 12 championship. The reason they had 5 guys that were drafted in the NFL draft. So if you look at before I start and before I go on, guys, who is your favorite player on this list? And then we'll move on.
Man, it's hard to say anybody, but besides Geno, Tavon, Stedman, because I mean those guys, it hit it hits hard for us, I think, because I mean we witnessed that, right? And but there are a number of guys here, I mean that bring back great memories. Like Kevin White was a phenomenal receiver, and then I think you have some underrated guys like Charles Sims. Like we were just talking about that the other night. I mean Charles Sims was a really good underrated player for West Virginia. Didn't have a great year as far as the team, but very productive back. So I just think, yeah, you have a number of guys here who made a tremendous impact and, high impact, right? And you're just not getting that right now, which is a shame.
Yeah, Rasul Douglas, I think, had one of the better NFL careers out of all these guys. Grant, favorite player from this portion?
You just said it. I mean, besides Tavon instead, I'd love Rasul because his NFL career has just been so impressive.
He's a Jersey
Always
guy too, East Orange, New Jersey.
Jersey guy, and it always seems like he finds himself in the middle of a very important playoff game or a game with playoff implications. So it's been fun to watch him in the league.
It really sucked, those few years because the Eagles kept drafting West Virginia guys. You look at Rasul Douglas, Shelton Gibson, Wendell Smallwood, Najee Good. The Eagles have gotten a lot of players from the Mountaineers on their team, so that kind of stinks as Giants fans. And then look at the records, from the 2010s. They were 9-4 in 2010, 10-3 in 2011, 7-6 in 2012, 4-8, 7-6. 8-5, 10-3, 7-6, 8-4, and 5-7. So I know when we were there, guys, the fans were having a conniption after we weren't winning 9 or 10 games a year, but we switched leagues, and these numbers look a lot better than they do currently. And again, that's because it goes back to this slide here. They had more NFL talent on the roster. Now, let's look at the current state of West Virginia. So this is their current state over the last few years. Again, 2020 they went 6-4 during that COVID shortened season. They didn't play Oklahoma. That game got canceled, so it was a winning season for Neil Brown there. But then after that, guys, 2021 they lost that game early to Maryland. Grant, you were at that game. That game was terrible. They finished with a losing record. 2022 finished 5-7, losing record. 2023, the outlier, they finished 9-4. But they didn't beat any quality teams that year. The schedule really set up nicely for them. And then 2024, 6-7 losing season. And then 2025, 4-8 losing season. So 4 out of the last 5 years, guys, West Virginia has finished with a losing record. And the major reason for that is look at the number of draft picks we've had in the 2020s. Colton McKivitz, Kenny Robinson, who really didn't even play for Neil Brown. That was more of a Dana leftover. Kenny Robinson went to the XFL. If you remember, played in the XFL, did well, and earned himself a draft pick, but he was like academically ineligible. Tony Fields, who only played a few games for West Virginia because he was a transfer over from Arizona. That was one of the better transfer portal pickups, Tony Fields. Dante Stills, West Virginia boy, was a good player, Zach Frazier, and Wyatt Milam. So although we've had our NFL draft picks, look at the difference between the 2020s and the 2010s. It's just a crazy difference. Guys, just your thoughts overall on those slides and those points.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a direct impact, right, between the talent and the the records, and it's crazy. Just seeing those records. I mean, just getting 6 wins seems like a miracle now, right, compared to our time. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think it's it's obviously I think a talent issue, right, when you're not having the talent that's going to back it up.
Drumwolf said, "Let's go Mountaineers." Drumwolf, shout out to you, man. Great to hear from you. Let's go Mountaineers. Although this show has been a little bit negative, I hate to be negative on this show. I like to be more of an optimist and not trash my beloved alma mater and who I'm an alumni of. But we have to be real, and the reason we're concerned is just these numbers. Grant, your thoughts on this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's concerning. Numbers never lie. It's been consistently poor. Um, yeah, I'm looking to. I'm sure all Mountaineer fans are looking for a change within the next 5 years under the new regime of Rich Rod. I wasn't the best with Neil Brown, and I'm hoping we get some recruits and we get some more hype around the program.
Well, I think too, it's not only about the wins and losses. I think the eye test alone, guys, we can tell from the eye test these teams are just not as talented as the teams that were a decade ago, right? And just, you can just tell that from your eyes. How many times watching Daigie's teams and watching some of the talent that's been out there, you have 1 or 2 guys that shine, but as a collective group, you don't. If you go back to the Orange Bowl team, Tavon, Stedman, Najee Good, Keith Tandy, Bruce Irvin, they had probably like 10 pros on that team. That's not the case with the current landscape of the Mountaineers, unfortunately. So do you guys agree with me that you can actually see on the field, besides the wins and losses, that the eye test also speaks volumes?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. With this past season, I mean, that team didn't look like they belonged in the field with some of these other teams that they played. I mean, seeing Texas Tech and even getting blown out by UCF, right, and then losing to
That was That was the low point. Getting blown out by a UCF team that I thought we matched up well with, getting blown out was just like, or I mean, even losing to Ohio when we lost to a
Right.
MAC school for the second game of the season, it was sickening. It was like literally, I was at a loss for words. And I think West Virginia fans, the thing I'm concerned about is a lack of interest, a lack of caring, and I think that's happening. I truly think because people are discouraged, and when you have a discouraged fan base, it's a dangerous situation to be with donors, fan support, and the ever-changing landscape of conference realignment.
Yeah. I mean,
Great. Any thoughts on that too?
No, it's terrifying.
Absolutely. Drumwolf said, we need to get back to winning and having an offense that is explosive and fun to watch. Yeah, I think I think I speak for all of us. I'll take the 70-63 shootouts that we used to have, even though we had no defense, because at least we were exciting to watch. Even when we finished that year in 2012, 7-6, at least they were fun to watch. At least people were like, man, I loved watching the Mountaineers play. Now, who are you turning on West Virginia to watch on Saturdays and be like, I'm ready to watch that guy play?
I would say the lack of talent, like, and it's obvious. It truly starts with the quarterback position, right? Like when we had success in years past, you had Gino, you had Will Greer, and it starts with those guys, right? If you don't have someone manning the offense, then it's gonna be rough. And then defensively, I feel like we're always in recent years not good at stopping the run. Maybe a little bit smaller on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, recently, like the Neil Brown, that secondary was pretty terrible. We made Drew Auer look like Dan Marino out there. Whenever they're talking, NFL scouts say to watch a Drew Auer game, they always say to watch the West Virginia game, his first start, because he just torched us. And he was a good quarterback, but by all means, but we made him look like a basic. There's been a lot of issues with the team in general. All right, guys, let's move on to talk about some other topics, and then we'll put this one to bed. Guys, time to move on for these guys. Time for these guys to get real and get a 9-to-5. Look at some of these headlines. Virginia quarterback Chandler Morris files for lawsuit seeking his 7th year. Montana linebacker granted 9th year of eligibility by the NCAA. Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss to sue the NCAA after being denied a 6th year of eligibility. Guys, what are your thoughts on players looking for their 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th year in college football? I think it's a bad thing. I think it hurts high school recruiting. I think that if you're not talented enough or you've had just bad luck, it is what it is, and you have to kind of move on. Just want to get your thoughts about the current landscape and guys applying for this many years.
Yeah, I think it's nuts. I mean, 9th year is insane. How old is this guy? I mean, it's gotten to a point where it's gotten absurd, I think, and you never really truly know how many guys a year has left. So I think it's pretty crazy. It's pretty alarming, and I just kind of miss just having 4-year guys, to be honest.
So, Grant, What do you think? What do you think about the getting like a 9th year of eligibility and running out there?
I mean, it's obviously absurd. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, is this even college anymore? Like, but it is what it is. That's the current landscape, and rules are meant to be bent and broken. And under this scheme, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I would love to have a few more years of eligibility.
Yeah, that'd be great.
He's only a sophomore.
I used to have reoccurring dreams all the time. I don't have them as much anymore because I'm older. But like out of high school, like for years, I'd have reoccurring dreams of like for some reason I'd get like an extra year or two of eligibility to wrestle in high school again, and I'd be back in my high school wrestling. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like I have an extra year of eligibility. And so I'm not some of these guys, like I don't blame them. How awesome was college? How awesome would it be to go back to college for a few years and make some thousands of dollars and play? But I think it just hurts college football. It's got to be really hard for high school recruits right now. If you're not a top 10, top talent to recruit, you might have to go play Group of 5 or FCS and prove yourself before you're going to get, a scholarship offer at a bigger school. When you have this flux of players and guys getting granted this, I think it hurts high school recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just madness. I mean, it's something that I think the NCAA needs to address at some point, because I mean, a guy, getting a 9th year of eligibility is it's just crazy. It's mayhem.
Drumwolf, I appreciate you, man. $20 super chat, man. That goes a long way. I really appreciate it. You know, I put a lot of hard work into the show, and getting people on and putting the graphics together. So the fact that you just did that for me, I really appreciate it. You're one of the diehards, so I definitely appreciate you a lot. So thank you so much for doing that. Remember how mean the defense used to be? The secondary would light players up. Yeah, man, we miss Carl Joseph. We miss Keith Candy. You know, Ryan Mundy, you know, we missed the edge that the players have had. The good news, Drumwolf, just going to the current landscape of the Mountaineers, I think if you watch some of the videos I've done during the transfer portal season, and Amit can contest to this because he's been on a lot of these shows, I think our D-backs, all of them can hit hard. And I think next year, I can't promise the wins and losses, but I think you're going to see a much more physical team next year that is going to break up passes, and you're going to feel West Virginia football next year. Amit, can you contest to that just from the videos that we've put together on this?
Yeah, I think they made some strides there. I mean, I think the secondary was definitely an emphasis, offensive line, you know, some key positions that you need to get better in. So, yeah, I think they made some positive strides. Let's hope it translates to the field.
Absolutely. And Grant, I know you love you some Carl Joseph.
I was gonna say, I actually might have to switch my favorite player to Crazy 8, man. Carl was my guy.
Yeah, Carl Joseph, he was awesome. He was there when we were in school there, and a very humble guy too. He was a soft guy, spoken guy off the field, but when he got in between those lines, he would absolutely rip your face off if you crossed the middle over him. So he was a guy too that was loyal. And the crazy thing about Carl Joseph, guys, is that you got to remember he tore his ACL like 3 or 4 games into his senior season. He got drafted first round even after an ACL tear. That's how talented he was in college. And again, we haven't had a safety like that since like Tyke Smith. Tyke Smith was probably the next safety that was that good. Since then, we haven't seen a talent like that in the defensive backfield in a long time.
Was he our last first-round pick?
Our last first-round pick
was either him or Kev.
No, Kevin White was before him. Kevin White was 2015. And
I think it was
let's just go back and look at it.
He might have been.
I think it was KJ.
Yeah, Carl Joseph was the last one. Yeah, good. That was, you know, guys. That's going on a
10 years,
11 years now.
Yeah,
or 10 years. 10 years,
a decade.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's crazy. Drummel said that fires me up. Yeah, listen, I might have to show the boys tonight, my kids upstairs, you know, some Carl Joseph highlight videos, you know.
That hit that he had on Oklahoma might have been my favorite hit I've seen, where he almost killed that guy.
That was great.
Yeah.
I remember I was on a road trip with my buddies and we were going up to Giants, Buffalo Bills, and I watched that on my phone. I'm like, oh my God, Carl Joseph. And you got to remember that year I think he had like 5 or 6 interceptions that year alone in just those few games. I think he had 3 against Georgia Southern in that one season. He was just he was awesome, man. He started as a true freshman and just was a great player for the Mountaineers. Yep. All right, guys, let's talk about this. This has been making a lot of noise, you know. The offseason never sleeps in college football. It truly never sleeps. I actually think the college football offseason is more interesting than the pros, just with the transfer portal, the tampering, all it's fascinating. Should the college football playoff expand? I want to get your guys' thoughts on this first. I'll share mine then. We'll take any last comments from the viewers, and then we'll wrap this one up. So, Grant, I'll give it to you first. Do you think the college football playoff should expand to 24 teams?
I mean, I'm for it. Sure, why not? I mean, I like it. Why not? The more the merrier. I feel like you're always going to have that discussion. There's always going to be one team on the outside looking in, whether you have it 4 teams, 8 teams, or 24. So, why not? Let's broaden the tournament.
For West Virginia, our luck would be we'd be the 25th team. That's West Virginia. We'd be the 25th team out.
I'm definitely keeping us in mind when I'm thinking about expanding a 24 team. So I'm pro expansion. Yeah.
Drumwolf, you said that was Texas. So Drumwolf, Carl Joseph did have a very good hit against Texas, where I think it was Marquise Lee. I think he picked, or not Marquise Lee. Was it Marquise? Which one was it?
No, Marquise Lee went to SC. Right?
No, it wasn't Marquise Lee. It was Marquise something from Texas, and he picked him up and he body slammed him. It was at home. Yeah. But the hit against Oklahoma,
the guy was going out of bounds, right? And
it might have been called targeting now, but they didn't have targeting back then when he hit it.
Is it good? Marquise Goodman or no? Is that my wrong?
Yeah, Marquise Goodwin. Yeah, he picked him up and slammed him on the ground. Yeah, Marquise Goodwin. Thank you. And he hit I forget who he hit. It wasn't Sterling Shepard. It was somebody good for them from Oklahoma, if someone could look it up. But he absolutely decapitated him on the
I'm trying to
sideline.
think of it organically here.
Yeah, it's crazy. Drumwolf agrees with you, Grant. He said more football. Yes, for sure. So Drumwolf, he agrees with you. Amit, give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think obviously this is a money move, but I think 24 is a little much for me. Like, I would like 16 if anything. I personally like 12, but I could see the argument for 16 because, I mean, the way I see it, if you had 16 this year, you would have had Notre Dame, BYU, probably Texas Vanderbilt, right? And I think nobody would have a problem with that. So, I personally am okay with where it is, but I can see 16 being the future. I think 24 is just, I think that's crazy. But as far as no league title games, I could see that happening just because, like you saw with the ACC this year, right? The winner of the ACC didn't even make it to the CFP because it was Duke who lost six games. So, yeah, I mean, I could see it expanding. I think 24 is excessive, maybe 16 at that.
Yeah, I think Grant, I think both of you guys make great points. I'm torn. I think there's pros and there's cons, obviously, right? And I think if you look at the pros and the cons, you have to weigh them out, right? So the pros is I like Grant's point, right? He's thinking about the Mountaineers, right? It's much more realistic for West Virginia, obviously, to get into a 24 team playoff than a 12 team bracket. I mean, if you just go over the last few years of teams that could have been in, Will Greer's team would have been in. The 2016 team probably would have been in with the 10 wins that they had. They were on the cusp of the Big 12 championship, so they might have had a chance to get in. The team that won the Orange Bowl would have been in that conversation. So over the last like 15 years, you probably would have had like 3 or 4 teams get in that playoff, which I think is a healthy thing for a fan base. Is that if West Virginia every 4 to 5 years is in the college football playoff conversation, I think it keeps the fan base involved, and I think it's a good thing for the Mountaineers. So I'm for more inclusion. I think a few other things, though. I think the negative part of it, I think it would water down the regular season. I think the games wouldn't have as much weight. I think that's the reason that separates college football from pro football. Like if the Giants lose a game, right? Say the Giants, they lose a lot of games, but let's say they're going to turn around next year. If the Giants lose like a random game to like, I don't know, like the Carolina Panthers, it sucks for a day, but it's not devastating, right? If you lose like 1 or 2 college football games, especially if you don't have like a great resume, your season's over. Like when West Virginia lost to Iowa State that year with Will Greer, and then they lost to Oklahoma State, like that was it. Like there was no chance for the playoff at that point. So I think it waters down the product. Now, with that being said, it also could keep more fan bases engaged late in the season, right? So now if you lose 2 games, your whole fan base isn't checked out. I don't care because we can't win it all. You could have 3 or 4 losses and still have meaningful games late in the season. I think the other good thing about it is I think if you go to 24 teams, I think at that point you need to eliminate bowl games, right? I think the bowl games at that point should just go away because no one wants to play in them. People are opting out in them. Players don't play in them. Fans don't care. They do terrible numbers. Maybe not on TV, but they do terrible numbers for people that actually go to them. And I think if you don't make a playoff, I think your season's over. You move on, get ready for the transfer portal, and move on. I think they need to. If they do this, they're gonna have to really fix the schedule and try to get things wrapped up quicker to make the schedule better. But I see both sides to it.
Maybe if they were to implement a 24 team too. Maybe they could do an NIT for football. Maybe a small invitational tournament for the teams that don't make it instead of bowl games.
So Drumwolf said more teams make it more exciting, similar to NCAA tournament in March. So let's talk about the NIT real quick before we get off of here, guys. West Virginia right now, the basketball team, unfortunately, they controlled their own destiny, right? They controlled their own destiny, and they've lost 3 games in a row. They had that terrible, sickening game to Utah. And then they lost a heartbreaker to TCU. And last week, the last game versus Oklahoma State was a heartbreaker in overtime. Guys, do you have any interest in watching this team play in the Crown or the NIT? Because I'm telling you right now, if when they go and they play, if they do, that's where they go. I don't have much interest in watching them play in these games. I hate to say it. Your thoughts on that?
No, NCAA tournament or nothing for me. Like, I mean,
so
I can't watch T and be excited about it. Like, maybe watch a game, see how they do, but other than that, like
the NIT thing in football would be cool only if it meant that we could get matchups with some of our traditional rivals. So if there was an NIT for football, and in that NIT there was a Pitt, Virginia Tech, Maryland situation where we could play those teams, I would be all for that. But if we're playing like Memphis, or we're playing like a Temple, or we're playing like I don't know, UTSA or something like that, I'm not going to be too interested in watching like multiple bowl games at that point. So it's an interesting theory, but I'd only like it if we could match up with like a traditional rival, which you can't guarantee.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we've been on here for about 35 minutes. It's been fun. Any last thoughts as we head into the weekend? Any things of positivity for the Mountaineer fans as we end this, because it's been pretty negative show for the most part tonight.
The baseball team's looking pretty good.
They are.
They're
6-1.
So. Women's basketball still in the mix. It's just we got to get football and men's basketball right.
Yeah, that's what counts. That's the most important.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Me and Amit said that the other night after the show ended. I'm like, it's great that baseball is doing these great things. It's great wrestling's doing good, and rifle is going to win a national championship again, maybe. And women's basketball is doing great, but like those are all great. But the only people that care are like a very small portion of people. Like the thing that moves the needle when we look at the brands on our hats and the brand recognition for the Mountaineers, it is that football program and that basketball program, predominantly football program. And I think why so many people are frustrated with Ross Hodge right now, it's not even his fault. It's because the team hasn't made the NCAA tournament in 4 years, and they've only made it twice in the last 10. So I think that's why as a fan base, we are desperately hoping for a team to be relevant again. And it's almost making our fan base go insane because that's how desperate and that's how bad we want to win again, because we were once a proud brand of Mountaineers.
Yeah, and I think those Press Virginia teams, like just making it every year, felt like it was such a fun run, right? And I mean those teams were exciting to watch, and yeah, I think we spoke about it the other night. I mean, I just want to get back to it. Like I don't expect this year's team to have done anything in it, right? I just want to get back to that, that side.
I just want to see the name on the bracket and have a day where like I hear the NCAA tournament like and I'm like, all right, the Mountaineers are on. Like I have to watch this game. Like our team is in it. Like you never know, you get an upset in the first round. It's just exciting, and I just feel like this time of year is not as exciting when you're not in the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I love March Madness. It's one of my favorite couple weeks, but it's definitely better when your team is involved for sure.
I'm actually excited to watch our wrestling guys though coming up. The Big 12's coming up, and then the NCAA tournament is coming up. Ty Waters right now is ranked 7th in the country, and Strickenberger lost in the blood round last year. So there's some guys that are doing pretty well. So it's exciting to see if we can get a few All-Americans this year for wrestling. So I'm excited for that right now too. But like I said, I'm not going to be super excited until we start showing who we are again in football and basketball. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight. Let's do this again soon. We'll talk to you guys next time on the Jersey Ear Show.